It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought to you by Eswatini TV. My name is Sanebo Ngwane alongside Makabiso Ngambole. Thank you so much indeed for choosing to stay with us. We are coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Babane. Let us take a look at our top stories. The Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlalutla Zandwando, says they are at the third stage of acquiring an air operations certificate. The Minister of Tingundla, David Ngampalala, says his ministry has developed a document that will educate people about the Tingundla system of governance. And the Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, says the time has come for eMaswati to start producing traditional regalia for themselves, more especially kangas, because they are now expensive to buy to some people. And now the news in detail. The Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlalutla Zandwando, says they are at the third stage of acquiring an air operator's certificate. The Minister says there are 2 stages at most they have to go through before the Eswatini Civil Aviation Authority airplanes start flying. The Minister said these when his ministry appeared before its Senate Portfolio Committee today.
Government, through the Eswatini Civil Aviation Authority, bought 2 airplanes which have not started operating. Members of the Ministry of Public Works and Transport Senate Portfolio Committee have asked what is stalling the process.
Induna esihlalo esihloniphekile ayisiniki hope nasifika endzabeni yekundiza namnenzaba sihlalo lesevele ikithi sesifuna kundiza sesikhathele kuhamba phansi ngoba siyathi ukuthi nakungena lethu indiza atawukwehla lama price
bese ke siyawacelela neMaswati singacelela eMaswati kuphela nabo bonke labantu osebenzisa leti indiza ukuthi setindiza deliver leti alimane nelive bese liyasibukela nangaleti indleko ngoma akusebenteki nyalo kusuka nje la ngale indiza lekhona engeke ngisho sihlalo kuya khona la Jozi 45 minutes ususahlafuna ichapezi ususephela lo shukela soyalenda noma uthi uvula sikotela se-drink uyanatha ungakasicethi bathi salo sibeke eceleni lesiyehla kephana ubhadala about 6-7,000.
Minister of Public Works and Transport Chief Ndlalutla Zandwando responded.
Siku process yekuyenda leyo operator certificate lene ma stages lang 4 or 5 nyalo siku stage 3. The most critical stage angisiya waka aviation kephana ngibabita bangichazela ngicabanga ukuthi ku stage lesifanana ne thesis nakuthiwa nje university ubhala i thesis uyasubmita ku supervisor a-comment abuyise ukubuke ubuyisele a-comment besolo nje kungiloko is the most critical stage lokusho ukuthi makhambe kahle nje kulenyanga lesigaba leso sitawuphela nakwenteke lokho ke singasithola ke le certificate kuba ngi 30 days in between kwekuthi sesithengisa emathikithi siya advertiser benze futhi nakuma destinations siyabikelana ukuthi on such a date sesitawuqala kusebenta njengoba besikhulumile.
The airplanes will fly to cities which include Durban, Johannesburg, Cape Town and Harare. For Eswatini TV News, Temgose Mavimbela with Muzim Konda, Parliament.
The Minister of Tingundla, David Ngampalala, says his ministry has developed a document that will educate people about the Tingundla system of governance. Ngampalala said this in Parliament when his ministry appeared before its Senate Portfolio Committee to report on its quarterly performance. Now, the minister says the document has been compiled by professors in the education sector, amongst others.
Members of the Ministry of Tinkhundla Senate Portfolio Committee have asked the ministry what it is doing to educate the public about the Tinkhundla system of governance. This was during the ministry's report of its quarterly performance today.
Litiko alivakali lapha ngaphandle likhuluma ngendzaba yale monarchical democracy yethu. Lalishido ukuthi mhlawumbe litawena in awu litaphuma le maveni ngathi bekuyi lip service le. Ngingathi noma mhlawumbe kwabathi imali kuhulumende usithi imali kophana nje liphinze lithethu.
I-report ngiyifundzile yinhle keja umsebenzi wenu ndvuna usimuhle. Mubu umsebenzi siyawuqala ukudumisa kahle hle naselibuyile live laba live le live lesilatiko. Bring it back ndvuna.
Ngithi ke ngifuna nangaye manangizana kunanako ngala mambhalo kunenginako bathi umjumbula. Malini nangumjumbula? Uthi ke lo make 20 rand. Ngithi ngikipana yini le? So alokunya nje kwemfana kulapha shathi lo hate malangeni. Sokuthi ngangibona lo.
Minister David Ngampalala says a document has already been compiled.
Sihlala ngisho ukuthi ihambele imphakathi sibe nethuba. Hlupha imbunga ayisekho. Tinkhundla lesithambele thine kusele only 9 lesingefiki kudo la vele. Sifikile office. And lesikutholile tinkhundleni nemphakathi. Le mibuzo yale system yetinkhundla. Kude labangasibuti kona. Siphinde saya emva kokuba live kube nemisindo. Ngikhumbula kahle nje ukuthi kulomnye umphakathi ngala koSpofaneni sabuzwa 106 webantu. Esithobelweni sabuzwa 86. Ngale system nalokunye lesingahlala phansi ichaze esithobelweni kubomkhwele siyile bengesilula sefika lo mphakathi leyo la sabuzwa khona 54 webantu. Basibuta ngayo le system yetinkhundla ukuthi lokho nalokho singenda kanjani. Setamile sihlalo impact ke lesiyibonile deputy thine lasambe khona kule miphakathi netinkhundla siyifica ngempela ukuthi simentile 80%. Sithe masuka esibayeni into yokuqala nje masuka esibayeni sifika ehhovisi bakhuluma ngale education ye system yetinkhundla uthi kwente kanjani esibayeni sakuthatha ke thina into lekhuluma esibayeni very serious. Sakhokha ngakhani ibandla lenabo professor baka education professor university sebayiqedile le document kodwa ke sisaconsulta khona lokuncane lesaconsulta lengeke sisho ukuthi seyikubi seyinto lekhona mawungathi yekusasa ngwebele ungenta na le office nale document.
Other responses will be brought in writing. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Parliament.
The Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, says the time has come for Eswatini to start producing traditional regalia for themselves, more especially kangas, because they are now expensive to buy to some people. The minister says they are expensive because they are produced outside the country. The minister said these when her ministry appeared before its Senate Portfolio Committee today.
Minister of Home Affairs Princess Lindiwe first submitted to the committee that the mopping exercise was on track, although there were a few challenges. The minister said these included last year's political unrest as well as rains which made it difficult for their truck to reach certain areas.
Emaswati ngoba ngilabo bayathi manje nana kodwa ngala ngakithi sibathi sesemile ngala bathi nathi siyanidinga ngala asathi ukuthi sesingenda njani nje kube siyadendela ngabe sesina 4 ema trucks latavela hamba ayele kepha ke kwanyalo mabili ama trucks lesisebenta ngawo kusuke ekuqaleni sisebenze nayo Tinkhundla saplana nje sisabuka ukuthi sidayenda njani lento bekala kule committee leyasetha phela kulungisa le mopping. So Tinkhundla bese lo sebenza naye senta konke naye konke vele sikwenta naye noma silonja leti ndzawo lesilonje kuto usuka khona Tinkhundla sisebenza kanye naye.
The minister also said all cultural celebrations and festivities will be held under normal circumstances this year as the COVID-19 threat is no longer alarming. She then touched on the price of traditional attire.
Indzaba lenkulu ukuthi singathi le mvunulo yethu iyetu singemaswati asakhonekta khela nje kwathina lapha eveni kufanele ukuthi ngabe kukhona swati leselikhicitela lona likhicita lamahiya konje ukuthi asike yothenga le akube khona nje swati kusomabhizinisi lotawuvuka athi mina ngiyakhicita lapha ngisengifuna ukuthengisa emahiya lokuthi nje sitahamba siyekhashana into yethu.
The ministry is expected to submit written responses to other questions this week. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela with Muzim Konda, Parliament.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Training, Pegikame, says the National Tourism Educational Schools Tour is an important program which will broaden the career choices of learners whilst at the same time promoting tourism. The Principal Secretary, who was represented by the Undersecretary Lungelo Ntlengetwa, said this during the launch of the program at the Municipal Council of Mbabane.
The Eswatini Tourism Authority has been tasked with generating 2 billion emalangeni in revenue per month. In an effort to meet this target, the authority has launched the National Tourism Educational Schools Tour. The Chief Executive Officer Linda Ngumalo says this initiative is aimed at reintroducing young minds to the tourism offerings available in the country. She further says it will ensure that they become keen and informed travelers.
Inhloso yethu ukuthi indzaba ye-tourism siyikhulumise etikolweni. Sathi kahle ke ukuthi umlibalo wembili lobantu bethu bangibo labavamisa ukuthi ba influence imindeni ekuthenini bende ukuthi siyakuphi sendani.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Begi Gama, who was represented by the Undersecretary Lungelo Ntlengetwa, says this initiative will also benefit the education sector.
Overall sentiments gathered from the 12 schools that have been taught in the city of Mbabane attest to the necessity of programs such as this one, as well as to the appetite for domestic travel amongst young people. We have observed with great admiration and remarkable interest that they have demonstrated in the inner workings of tourism as one of the country's largest sectors with direct and indirect employment opportunities.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Municipal Council of Mbabane, Gideon Mhlongo, says there are a lot of places and monuments to see in Mbabane. The president of the Eswatini Principals Association, Welcome Mhlanga, says they welcome this initiative. He says they have been promoting touring in schools, but they have to do it at a larger scale now.
But lapha la kwendako Eswatini Tourism Authority abambisene nabo masipala into lenhle lokuthi asikhuthathe i-domestic tourism.
The Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Tourism Authority says the program started in Mbabane but will be implemented in schools in other regions. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Mbabane.
The Director for Health, Dr. Vusi Makakule, says the ministry is ready to respond towards the outbreak of monkeypox. Dr. Makakule says the country has developed a response plan towards the fight against monkeypox infections. Dr. Makakule was speaking during when giving an update regarding the country's preparedness on the disease. Now, the following report may contain pictures that may be disturbing to sensitive viewers.
A few weeks ago, the World Health Organization declared monkeypox as a public health emergency. The Ministry of Health has been able to develop a response plan towards the fight against monkeypox. According to the Director for Health Services, Dr. Vusi Makakula, the risk community team has developed IEC material that will be used to educate the nation against monkeypox. He says that currently a cost analysis is being made to see how much will be needed to vigorously respond to the disease. Makakula says the monkeypox infection rate in Africa is not the same as in developed countries.
Temphilo ke selisethile ke le team leya ibuke tona into tehlakalo letinjengaleti ngespeed ngalapha ngaka health seyicedzile kwakha loluhlakalwayo letawusebenzisa lesitawusebenzisa silutiko kule response lesikwenta konje nyalo nje nokwenziwa konje lonkhuluma kwenziwa iyakhostwa kubonakala ukuthi itasibita imali enganani sikhostelwa ke bakachai the Clinton Foundation team lesisebenza nayo la kangwane iyasisa sikhostela kwanye lokutsita kanje lokunye lengakusho kwenteka konje nganyalo nje even as today le RCCE sibita ukuthi risk communication and community engagement team yethu isakha lesingakubita ukuthi IEC material lefake khathi ama-poster lefake khathi lekufundisa kwethu sesikufake ngisho khona semsakadweni lo yena onjena.
Dr. Makakula further stated that WHO approved a vaccine which is used to vaccinate against monkeypox, although it is used for smallpox. He says that it is important for the nation to take all necessary precautions against the disease. Dr. Makakula also stated that WHO approved a vaccine which is used to vaccinate against smallpox. He says that it is important for the nation to take all necessary precautions against the disease. Currently, there are 24,000 cases of monkeypox in Europe, while in Africa only 400 cases have been reported. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangin with Mbongwa Dube, Mbabane.
The Eswatini Police Service is engaging on a gender-based violence workshop with the Southern African Development Community aimed at strengthening the capacity of police to effectively respond to gender-based violence cases.
The government of Eswatini, through its different structures, is reviewing procedures to tackle the increase in the numbers of gender-based violence. The quarterly report that was delivered by the National Commissioner of Police in Parliament reveals that 48 people died from gender-based violence in the last 3 months. One of the police leading the procession mentions the type of gender abuse they attend to frequently.
Kuhamba embili vele lokushayana kwanze sesiyacabana sesigijima sesijaka kushaya kuphindze bese kulandzelwa ngokweloku ukuthi vele siyathukana kakhulu lamakhaya labanye sebakujwayele ukhanze ukuthi abakubhodi but labaningi sebayaphakama bayede bakubhode njengoba le SODV seyakucover lokho ukuthi emotional noma ke emoyeni uyahlukubeteka bese ke kuba ngokona loku usihlupha kakhulu kwemacala ekulalana bantu ke asola bakhona lokuhlonipha ukuthi umntwana ngumntwana.
The security officer, part of the SADC Secretariat, Jacinta Hoffney, says for this workshop they are using the SADC GBV strategy of 2018 to 2030 as a guideline.
It starts from the definition of gender-based violence. Of course, this is matched with the definition that we have in the SADC Protocol on Gender and Development. And then it moves forward to the types of GBV, defining the types of GBV. It also moves forward by talking about the legislative response when it comes to GBV, what member states should be talking about. But of course, it shares the regional and global legislative frameworks on gender-based violence. In the case of the police, speaks to the justice continuum, starting from prevention to the pre-trial, the trial process and the post-trial process. What is it that police is supposed to do throughout the entire process?
Dlamini continues to mention changes that have been implemented in collecting statements, which include capturing still photos and videos. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Thandukuhle Mdluli with Themba Shabangu, Babane.
The Eswatini Principals Association says the interruptions in learning after social media threats of peace seriously compromise the compressed curriculum. The president of the Eswatini Principal Association, Welcome Mhlanga, says the learners should be given an opportunity to complete their studies, especially now that some are writing mock examinations.
During the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in the year 2020, learners were forced to stay at home as the world and the country battled the pandemic. In an effort to make up for lost time, the Ministry of Education and Training made the compressed curriculum, which ensures that learners continue to get quality education in a shorter period of time. The president of the Principals Association, Welcome Mhlanga, says as the threats on peace continue on social media, learners are missing out on their studies. He says schools are behind on the curriculum as parents do not send their children to school after these threats.
Mock exams. Bantwana nje nyalo sebaphazamisekile sebemile kanti bese bangene kule rhythm yokubhala. Nalokudatisha ke bese kuba likhuni nyalo ngoba sekunale uncertainty ukuthi sibuyela nini vele esikolweni. Sitawubuyela yini noma siya nyalo vele sitawufunza yini effective kulabo labasafunza. So kufisa kwethu nje nekuthandaza kwethu nelisiwe ngilokuthi sibeni sesikolweni kufundwe. Nalama threats ke vele la endiwe noma lokunye ungathi noma kuliqiniso noma kusilo vele kuyenda lokuthi besabe bantu. Umntwana ke nasesaba kwesikolweni nalokufunza utawesaba noma ngabe bakhona njengalo baseklasini but bayaqalata lokuthi yini letawendeka. Shothi ke lengqondo yalomntwana lokufuna ngayifocus ela incwadzini ayisekho khona. Labanye ke vele beva kahle abantwana sekuloku njena sohlele ekhaya kasede esikolweni baya disengage lokuphinza umbuyise aqhubeke nekufunza sengumsebenzi lomkhulu kanti lesikhathi lesisele naso sincane ngaOctober ayaqala ama practicals ama exams bo form 5 ngaNovember batayi babhala abantwana lalabanye batayi babhala ama internal exams ngaDecember kufuna sivale etikolo sikhiphe ama report lama report leswakhiphako kufanele avete lokuthi kufunziwe singaniki batali nje ama report lathi umntwana uyaphambili kanti kude la kufunzile.
Mhlanga says parents plead with the Ministry of Education to provide security in schools. In a telephonic interview, the Principal Secretary Bheki Gama says they made an agreement with the Principals Association that if they suspect there is a threat of security in schools, the ministry should be contacted. He says security forces are always willing to help. The Principal Secretary continues to say the safety of teachers and learners is the ministry's priority. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla with Mbongwa Dube Mbabane.
Right now, let's take a look at our financial indexes and see how our markets performed today in our financial report.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. You're still with the news bulletin at 8 here at Eswatini TV. Thanks so much indeed for choosing to stay with us. And now for our sports news. Mbabane Highlanders have drawn South African side Royal AM in the 2022-2023 Total CAF Confederations Cup preliminary round. The winner between the two sides will face Zambian giant Zesco United in the second round of the preliminary round. The games will be played on the weekend of the 10th to the 11th of September this year.
The 2022-2023 Total CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup preliminary round draw has been conducted in Cairo, the capital city of Egypt. In CAF Confederation Cup, where the country is represented by Mbabane Highlanders, they have drawn Royal M from the Republic of South Africa, with the winner between the two sides facing Zesco United from Zambia in the next round of the preliminary round. Under the CAF Champions League draw, M10 Premier League champions Royal Leopard, who are representing the country, will be playing against CCFA from Madagascar in the first round and will face either Matlama FC from Lesotho or Cotton Sport from Cameroon in their second round of the preliminary round if they are to proceed. The first legs of both tournaments will be played on the weekend of the 10th to the 11th of September this year. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabi Sumsonera, pictures sourced from CAF TV.
Eswatini Olympics and Commonwealth Games Association has received a package worth 60,000 US dollars, which is estimated over 900,000 malangeni for the completion of the association's offices at Lobamba. From the African Olympics and Commonwealth Games Association, the Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Chief Executive Officer Maxwell Jele says the total donation since the construction of the offices is now around 2.1 million malangeni.
Despite a disappointing performance of Team Eswatini at this year's Commonwealth Games, different positive meetings were held while in England that will benefit the Kingdom of Eswatini. According to Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Olympics and Commonwealth Games Association, Maxwell Jele, the organization received a package of over 900,000 emarangeni for the completion of the Olympic and Commonwealth Games offices at Lobamba. Jele says it has now brought the donation to a package of about 2.1 million emarangeni since the beginning of the construction.
We signed a contract with ANOCA, which is the Association of National Olympic Committees in Africa, where they are extending 60,000 US dollars to us for continuation of the construction of our headquarters at Lobamba. So we are very grateful to ANOCA for this gesture. And we are going to ensure that we meet our timelines of completing this project before the end of this year. We also had official meetings with some strategic partners of ours. One very important meeting we had was with the South African delegation, where we are putting together a cooperation agreement. This agreement will be signed very soon between IWOGA and SASCOC, which is the equivalent of IWOGA in South Africa. What we also did...
Jele concluded mentioning that other held meetings stand to benefit athletes in preparations for the upcoming competitions, such as the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, picture sourced from the team that was in Birmingham in England.
With those sports news, we have hit the home stretch of the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of our top stories tonight. The Minister for Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlaluhlaza Ndwandwe, says they are at the third stage of acquiring an air operations certificate. The Minister of Tingundla, David Ngampalala, says his ministry has developed a document that will educate people about the Tingundla system of governance. And the Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, says the time has come for eMaswati to start producing traditional regalia for themselves, more especially kangas, because they are now expensive to buy to some people. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini. Thank you so much, Ndete, for choosing to stay with us. We shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the crew here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.